Imagine a world where the most precious thing you hold dear slips away, leaving you powerless. What if the answers lay not in medical science, but in a place beyond our understanding? Today, we're diving into a story that challenges everything we know about healing, a story of an unexpected connection and the unseen forces that bind us. This is Caleb Miller, a name synonymous with innovation in the tech world. In his early 40s, Caleb had built an empire, but his true masterpiece, his pride and joy, was his 10-year-old son, Ethan. Ethan was all bright eyes and boundless energy, a whirlwind of Lego creations and backyard adventures. Their home in a quiet, tree-lined suburb of Washington, D.C. was often filled with the sounds of his laughter, a stark contrast to the sterile quiet of Caleb's demanding work life. Then, without warning, the laughter stopped. One ordinary Tuesday morning, Ethan, usually so vibrant, woke up disoriented, his speech slurred. Within hours, he was in a deep coma, the victim of a rare acute brain stroke. The diagnosis slammed into Caleb like a physical blow. The world, which he had always believed he could control with enough intellect and resources, suddenly spun out of his grasp. Caleb's life transformed overnight into a relentless, desperate pursuit of a miracle. He moved mountains, flew Ethan on private jets to the most renowned hospitals in the country: Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, Boston Children's. He consulted every top neurologist, every cutting-edge specialist. His vast wealth and formidable connections, usually his greatest assets, became useless against the stark reality. The consensus was grim. Ethan's condition was irreversible. His brain activity was minimal, his chances of regaining consciousness virtually non-existent. The initial shock gave way to a chilling despair. Caleb spent his days and nights by Ethan's bedside at Children's National Hospital, the rhythmic beeping of the machines a constant, agonizing reminder of his son's fragile state. He'd stare at Ethan's pale, still face, tracing the faint freckles on his nose, remembering the warmth of his small hand in his. The crushing weight of helplessness was suffocating. He, Caleb Miller, the man who built empires, couldn't fix the one thing that mattered most. He felt hollow, drained, just a shell of the man he once was. The silence in Ethan's room was terrifying, a void where laughter and dreams once resided. It was a silence that screamed of a future unwritten, a story unfinished. If you've ever felt utterly powerless in the face of a challenge, hit that like button and share your story in the comments below. Perhaps, like Caleb, you've wrestled with a profound, unanswerable question. But just when the light seemed to dim forever, a whisper of the extraordinary began to stir in the sterile halls of the hospital. What if the most profound solutions emerge from the most unexpected places, challenging everything we believe about healing? What if hope arrives not in a lab coat, but on silent, bare feet? The hospital, with its strict security and clinical precision, was not a place for the unannounced. Yet, one afternoon, a figure unlike any other appeared. She was a girl, no older than 9, with a quiet grace and an ancient wisdom in her eyes. Her name was Alara, and she wore no shoes, her small feet appearing strangely clean despite their journey. She walked calmly, effortlessly, somehow bypassing the layers of security, as if the hospital itself had parted ways for her. Her destination was clear: Ethan's room. Caleb, slumped in a chair, watching the lifeless monitors, didn't notice her until she was standing quietly by Ethan's bed. He startled, initially dismissive and deeply skeptical. Who was this child? She had to be lost, or perhaps delusional. He immediately moved to have her removed, reaching for the nurse call button. "I can wake him," Alara said, her voice soft, yet clear as a bell. Her eyes, a startling shade of green, met Caleb's, holding an inexplicable calm that made his hand hover over the button. There was something about her, an undeniable sense of peace, a quiet conviction, that made him hesitate. He felt a strange, illogical pull, a break in the impenetrable wall of his despair. Alara didn't plead. She simply looked at Ethan. "He needs your truth, Mr. Miller." The unspoken truth. Caleb frowned, confused. What are you talking about? What truth? The one you carry, she replied, her gaze unwavering. The one you haven't spoken since his mother left. A cold knot tightened in Caleb's stomach. His wife had passed away 5 years prior, leaving him to raise Ethan alone. He had buried his grief deep, focusing solely on providing for Ethan, believing that strength meant never showing weakness. He had avoided talking about her, thinking it would protect Ethan and himself. Against all his logical instincts, against every fiber of his being that screamed, "This is impossible," Caleb found himself nodding. He pulled up a chair for Alara, his mind a jumble of disbelief and a desperate, fragile sliver of hope. Alara sat, her small hands resting gently on Ethan's arm. "He hears you, even in his sleep," she whispered. "He needs to hear the pain, the truth, the words you've hidden." Caleb's heart hammered against his ribs. He felt exposed, vulnerable. How could his child know? He looked at Ethan, then back at Alara, whose gaze seemed to pierce through his carefully constructed defenses. The sterile room suddenly felt charged with an invisible energy, a tension that was both unsettling and profound. He thought of all the times he'd buried himself in work, all the moments he'd missed, convinced that providing material security was enough. He remembered a specific evening, just weeks before Ethan fell ill. Ethan had wanted to show him a new Lego creation, a spaceship with intricate details. Caleb, engrossed in a crucial business call, had waved him off, promising to see it later. Later never came. The image of Ethan's slumped shoulders as he walked away, Lego spaceship in hand, haunted him. It was a small moment, but it represented a larger pattern, a silence between them that had grown since his wife's death. This was the unspoken truth Alara spoke of. Have you ever encountered an unexplainable moment that shifted your perspective? Tell us about it. Perhaps, like Caleb, you found that some solutions lie beyond the realm of logic. As Caleb took a trembling breath, ready to confront the ghosts of his past, something profound began to stir, not just within him, but within the silent boy lying still in the bed. Sometimes, the truest healing begins not with medicine, but with the raw courage to open your heart and face what's been hidden. What happens when a father's confession becomes the catalyst for a miracle? With Alara's unwavering gaze upon him, Caleb, in a raw and emotionally charged moment, began to speak. His voice was hoarse, thick with unshed tears. He confessed his deepest regrets to his unconscious son. "Ethan," he choked out, his hand trembling as he reached for his son's still one. "I'm so sorry. So sorry, Bundy. I wasn't there enough. After Mom, I just buried myself in work. I thought if I just provided, if I just kept everything together, that would be enough. But it wasn't, was it? I miss so much. I miss your laughter, really heard it. I miss those quiet moments where you just needed me to listen. I know I brushed you off that night with your Lego spaceship, and I regret it more than words can say. I regret every later that became never. I should have been more present, more here with you. And when you started looking a little pale, a little tired, I dismissed it. I told myself it was just a growth spurt or a school stress. I was so focused on everything else, I missed what truly mattered. Please, son, please come back. I need you. I truly need you. I promise. I'll do better." As Caleb poured out his heart, confessing his pain and his desperate longing for his son to return, something astonishing happened. A monitor beside Ethan's bed, tracking his vital signs, showed a subtle, yet undeniable, flicker in his heart rate. It wasn't a dramatic surge, but a gentle, rhythmic response. The nurse, who had been observing from the doorway, gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. The doctor called in immediately, stared at the screen, his face a mask of astonishment. They exchanged bewildered glances, unable to explain this physiological response. Alara simply offered a faint, knowing smile. Then, as quietly as she arrived, she disappeared from the room. The next day, she reappeared. Caleb, exhausted but with a faint spark of hope rekindled in his chest, looked at her, his gratitude overwhelming. This time, Alara's request was different, yet equally profound. He needs the lullaby, Mr. Miller, she said, gesturing towards Ethan. The one his mother used to sing. Caleb's breath caught. The lullaby. It was a gentle, melodic tune his late wife, Sarah, had sung to Ethan every night. He hadn't dared to hum it since her passing, fearing it would awaken a grief too raw, a pain too sharp. He had walled off that part of his life, along with so many other memories of Sarah, believing it was the only way to move forward. But Alara's request felt less like a suggestion and more like a gentle command from a place of profound understanding. He looked at the baffled doctors, their faces reflecting their utter inability to explain Ethan's subtle physiological response from the day before, leaving the unanswered question hanging in the air. What song brings you comfort or reminds you of a deep connection? Share it below. Perhaps the melodies we carry hold more power than we realize. The melody filled the room, a forgotten echo of love, and with each note, the subtle signs of life within Ethan grew stronger, hinting at a miracle unfolding before their very eyes. What if the most profound connections are woven not just from blood, but from shared experiences of vulnerability and unexpected kindness? And what happens when a whisper of hope blossoms into an undeniable miracle? Caleb took a deep, shaky breath. He closed his eyes, forcing himself back to those evenings when Sarah's sweet voice would fill Ethan's nursery, lulling their son to sleep. Then his own voice, rusty from disuse and thick with emotion, began to hum the familiar tune. Sleep, my little star, the day is done. Dreams await beneath the moon and sun. Close your eyes, my love, let worries cease. Find your rest in gentle, silent peace. As he sang, a miracle unfolded. Ethan's brainwave patterns, previously flatlining, showed increased, consistent activity on the monitor. His fingers, which had been still for weeks, twitched slightly. The medical team, now gathered around the bed, exchanged wide-eyed glances. Their scientific minds struggled to reconcile these developments with Ethan's previous prognosis. It defied every medical textbook, every clinical expectation. Alara watched, her serene expression unchanging. When Caleb finished the song, her soft voice broke the silence. I help him, she explained, her gaze fixed on Ethan, because I was once like him. Alone in a hospital, I knew what it felt like to be unheard. Her words were a brief, poignant revelation, a glimpse in her own mysterious past that resonated deeply with Caleb. He wanted to ask more, to understand who she was, where she came from. But then, as before, she simply melted away, gone as swiftly and silently as she had arrived, leaving Caleb with a mix of awe and profound gratitude. Over the next few days, Ethan showed remarkable and undeniable signs of recovery. His breathing became stronger, more regular. His reflexes, tested by the nurses, returned with surprising vigor. He would stir, his eyelids fluttering. The doctors conducted extensive tests, bewildered by the spontaneous remission. They called it unexplainable, a medical anomaly. Then came the moment Caleb had prayed for, dreamed of, and sometimes, in his darkest hours, feared would never come. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the hospital window, Ethan's eyes slowly, purposefully, fluttered open. The brown depths, once vacant, now held a spark of recognition, a flicker of his old self. The sight sent a wave of pure, unadulterated joy crashing over Caleb. He rushed to his son's side, tears streaming down his face. "Dad," Ethan whispered, his voice weak, but undeniably his own. "Ethan, my boy." Caleb could barely speak through his sobs. When Ethan was strong enough, his first coherent words were about Alara. "She was here, Dad," he murmured, his eyes scanning the room as if searching for her. "She showed me the way back. She was like a light." The revelation deepened the mystery, yet solidified Caleb's belief that something truly extraordinary had happened. The wonder of it all defied all expectations, leaving both Caleb and the audience in awe. What's a moment of unexplained wonder you've experienced? Share it in the comments. Sometimes the most beautiful things in life defy all logic. Ethan's return was more than just a medical anomaly. It was a testament to the power of the unseen, a story that would soon echo far beyond the hospital walls, inspiring millions. A true transformation isn't just about survival. It's about channeling profound experiences into a force for good, creating a ripple effect of hope. How can one unexplainable event reshape not just a single life, but countless others? The extraordinary story of Ethan and Alara quickly gained local, then national, media attention. The miracle boy of Washington, D.C. captivated hearts across the country. Faced with this newfound purpose, Caleb underwent a profound transformation. The cutthroat world of tech, once his sole focus, now seemed distant, less meaningful. He understood that while he had the resources for top medical care, many families did not, and the emotional and spiritual healing was just as vital as the medical. Driven by a desire to honor the inexplicable gift they had received, Caleb made a monumental decision. He sold a significant portion of his tech empire, pouring the proceeds into a new venture. He established the Beacon Project, a nonprofit foundation dedicated to providing free art, music, and storytelling therapy programs for children battling chronic illnesses or recovering from trauma across the U.S. From humble beginnings in a renovated community center in Maryland, the Beacon Project blossomed, reaching children in hospitals, shelters, and community centers nationwide. It was a place where creativity became a language, and shared stories became a balm for the soul. Ethan, now fully recovered and thriving, became an integral part of the Beacon Project. He rediscovered his love for building, but now it was for the project's play areas, creating intricate models of hospitals and healing spaces. Together, he and Caleb launched a popular YouTube channel called Ethan's Echoes. Here, they shared their remarkable journey, inviting viewers into their lives with honesty and vulnerability. They interviewed other children who had found healing through creative expression, showcasing the powerful impact of the Beacon Project. Their channel became a beacon itself, inspiring millions and proving that even in the darkest moments, there's always an opportunity to create light for others. 1 year after Ethan's miraculous awakening, the Beacon Project held its anniversary gala. The room sparkled with hope and gratitude, filled with families whose lives had been touched by the foundation. As Caleb addressed the crowd, thanking everyone for their support, a familiar, serene presence stirred at the back of the room. It was Alara. She stood for only a moment, a fleeting glimpse of her enigmatic smile, before she disappeared into the celebratory throng, as ethereal and mysterious as ever. Her brief appearance reaffirmed the magic and mystery in the world, solidifying Caleb's and Ethan's unwavering commitment to their mission. It was a quiet affirmation that some things, like true connection and profound healing, transcend explanation. If this story resonated with you, consider supporting the Beacon Project to help us bring light to more children, or simply share this video to spread hope. Every share, every comment, every act of kindness creates a ripple effect. Join us on Ethan's Echoes for more stories that remind us of the incredible power of the human spirit. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be part of our community of hope. What part of Ethan and Alara's journey moved you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.